untrained eye, it looks like a pretty big aeroplane. I don't know if that is the case, but if that has ditched, and obviously we say that is a big if, what would actually be visible, do you think, in the sea? Are these aeroplanes designed to have bits of them which essentially float on the water?
If the aeroplane ditched, yes, it is a big aeroplane. I mean, it is approximately 60 metres wingspan, so it's just a little smaller than a 747. So it is quite it is a very large, wide-bodied aeroplane. What would happen in a ditching is it's likely that the engines would detach, and it could well float if it was ditched properly. It could well float for a considerable period of time. The way that they will find the aeroplane could well be through the transmitters mounted in the black boxes, as you call them, so that they can search and locate. Those, when they get wet, will effectively start to transmit, or when they get shaken around enough to start the transmission systems, then they will broadcast signals which can be read from aeroplanes flying close by, or from Navy ships. They can also detect the signals that are sent out, so they can locate the black boxes, and from there they will locate the rest of the wreckage.
We were talking just a few moments ago to Chris Yates, an aviation expert, who was making the point that if this plane has ditched, he felt it would be unlikely that people would survive. For those of us who sit on planes regularly to go on holiday, we're told about the inflatable chutes, and we're told there are life jackets under our seats and so on. In a sense, is that more to reassure us than to prove much practical help?
Well, I think that there's always been this theory that in any accident your fate is in your own hands, or it's too late, there's nothing you can do about it. That really is incorrect. There's a very high survival chance of a lot of types of accidents that aeroplanes have, which is why the safety briefing is given. And I think that a lot of people decided that any ditching was going to be completely fatal. Now, the subsequent rescue, having got people out, you now need to collect those people and get them to land. So I think that there's enough history to be able to say that aeroplanes can survive ditching successfully, and therefore people really should pay some significant degree of attention to the safety briefings. OK,
that is a piece of good news there, we hope. David Gleave, thank you very much.
Actually go off radar, given obviously that it has, what are the options that we are looking at?
Well, I can't really add all that much to what David Gleave has been saying, because it's so soon, and we really don't know what's happened. However, I think the point about the radar is that there is no radar coverage over the big oceanic areas, and this aircraft had a long oceanic track to go through. And what happens there is that once you go out of the radar cover, which, as David suggested, might be as much as 300 miles from the coast, but may not be that far, they're then under a sort of procedure where they talk to the the Oceanic Air Traffic Control Centre, and they report their position every half hour, either by high-frequency radio or sometimes by satellite links. But they're not on any radar. Of course, that route may have taken them along the coast of Brazil for some part, and it may have been on radar at the time. But I'm inclined to think that this phrase, "it dropped off radar," is a bit of a journalistic cliché. If they were actually out well over the ocean, that would not have been the case.
If you ditch, what would be the altitude that the plane is actually coming down from in an instance like this far into an actual journey?
Oh, they would be at their cruising altitude, you know, between 30 and 38,000 feet probably. But of course, we've no idea what went wrong. You know, if and I've no particular reason for saying this, but if it were a bomb, then, you know, the aeroplane is probably destroyed. If it had a total engine failure of some sort, which is vanishingly rare these days, and it was able to glide, would just, you know, glide down as far as it could. They would glide towards the coast if they still had control, and when they got to the surface of the sea, they would alight on it. I think is the proper word, if they possibly could. But you know, we just don't know.
OK, well, Sean Maffitt, thanks very much for